you know, I have a pointer and I'm not even using it over there. Okay. Should the Lord decide at this time? You know what it made me think of? Okay. Well, the Lord didn't decide at that time, but that means there is going to be a time. Is that what he's saying? There's going to be a time when the Lord's going to cleanse the church, right? That's true. That's true doctrine. The Lord is going to cleanse the church with a famine, and it's going to have quite a duration, and it's going to wipe out slothful members, and including ward and stake officers. Okay? That's what he's saying. If things really go south, I can get what I need by standing in the parking lot of the store and look real pitiful and then take handouts from people, right? Or I could let the bishop and other members of the ward provide for me. Hey, I had a really nice vacation, but no time to grow a garden. Can you guys please take care of it? You know, 2 years ago, well, I guess it was 3 years ago now, y'all probably remember when the market kind of took a big dip and the real estate residential market took a big dip and there was all this problems. It resulted in, of course, a downturn in the economy of probably about 15 to 20%. The church welfare system became so overtaxed in that it was almost crushing, at least to what the church had set aside for this kind of a thing. The bishopric was counseled by the First Presidency to increase the funds available for that by tenfold. But that gives you an idea. Letting the government take care of me is something else I can do. I can heed the counsel of the Lord and begin to regard it. Okay. When people, this was another thing, Floyd K. Packer. I always think of him as giving really sweet talks in Congress, okay? When people are able but unwilling to take care of themselves, we are required to follow the dictum of the Lord that the idler shall not eat the bread of the laborer. In other words, do not expect your neighbor to feed you. Which one of his faithful children should God let starve so that you can be fed? If it's not a priority for you to save yourself and your family, why should another family have to take that responsibility? Interesting statement, huh? Okay, I think that's handing my kid. Did everybody make 100? Okay, a couple more just quotes. You can see. In this quote, he's just saying, you know, if you grow your food, for one thing, you get a lot better quality food. Some of y'all, anybody that's a nutritionist by profession in here, expert in that kind of thing? I'm not. I am an architect. I work with doctors. That's what I do for a living. All day, except Sundays, every day. I talk to doctors. I do research for doctors. I counsel doctors on things they can and shouldn't do and so forth. As a result, I end up meeting with a lot of doctors that would be considered very high in their profession in all sorts of areas. One of them happens to be nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'll tell you what they tell me. The quality of food is so bad in America because the soil is so bleached of its nutrition that sometimes after you eat, you're no better off than you were before you ate. And that's probably more common than not. I mean, most of the times the food we eat is so nutritionally starved, it does our bodies no good. Without supplements, we might as well just eat cardboard. And they've also connected, there's a connection between all these things, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, ADHD, a lot of these kind of debilitating diseases, and nutrition. And if they fix the nutrition, there's many doctors that are just, that's all they're doing. They can reverse a number of diseases to an astounding level by just correcting the nutritional imbalances in the body. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about gardening. You can stop me at any time and ask questions, okay? Otherwise, I don't have any more pretty pictures on no doilies or anything. So, just talking about gardening a little bit in general. Getting started, deciding what you want to accomplish with the garden. You want to have a hobby garden? Are you wanting to supply your family's weekly food intake, grow as much as you can? And you also want to know how much time and resources you're willing to commit to it. You know, I personally, and I've known this and understood for many years, that it's important for us to grow and do the most that we can. The question is, if a person who has never grown a garden went out in their backyard, plowed the whole thing up, planted it, they may not get anything out of it, right? Would you agree with that, Sister Ellen? I mean, it doesn't happen, it's not magic. And there is a learning curve, and starting really small, and I had tongue-in-cheek put in there about a 12-ounce cup, styrofoam cup with a tomato seed in it. Starting very small is the right thing to do. If you start big, you're setting yourself up for big problems. But you start little, and then you continually grow. Every year you do a little bit more, a little bit more. And then finally someday you'll be at a point where you have a garden that maybe can support you and your family. But you have to decide that. You know, you literally, just like everything else, and you sisters are a lot better at planning than us brothers are, but you plan it out just like you do everything else. My wife has a list for everything. And so you decide what your goals are long term. Sharon and I had goals. Literally, our goal was to produce everything that we eat on our property, and that's what we're shooting for. I don't know that we'll make it this year. I hope so. We didn't make it last year. If we don't make it this year, maybe next year. Okay, but we've been working towards that goal for many years. You have to assess the options that you have. How much land do you have? How much sunlight? You know, plants have very minimal needs. You got to give them dirt, light, water, and actually a little bit of heat. Most of the plants like some heat. And so you give them those things, and you're in good shape. So you have to assess your property. You might find that part of your property is no good. You can plant it all you want to, and it's not just going to grow, so don't waste your time for that. But you assess what you have, and you decide what kind of garden you want to grow. You know, there's a standard garden where you just plow up the yard, kind of make it into furrows, and plant stuff in it, and it grows, and it probably does okay. You put fertilizer, it does a little substantially better. Or, you know, there's this thing called, is it foot by foot gardening or square foot gardening? Okay, y'all know more about that than I do. But square foot gardening is, in essence, you're trying to get enough nutrients into a small piece of dirt so where you can increase the yield on it. So box gardening, vertical gardening, container gardening, and aquaculture. I don't know if y'all are familiar with that term. I have recently become much more appreciative of the value of fertilizer. My wife and I have always tried to avoid commercial fertilizer, you know, like the bag of Tim Tam or something like that, because first off, it's those minerals, again, a lot of them are not water soluble, and so it really doesn't do your garden a lot of good. Another problem with it is those fertilizers contain three things. What are they, Sister Owen? Yeah, potassium, phosphorus, and nitrate is what they contain. Now the great thing about those three items is they make plants grow really well, but they don't put any nutrition into the plant. So see what the plant needs, aside from having pretty leaves and all, it needs manganese, zinc, iron, psyllium, and just a whole list, 20, 30 other substances, minerals. And those are the substances that end up in the food that we eat that give us our good nutrition. And when we just use the commercial fertilizer, we might have a beautiful tomato that doesn't have anything in it as far as nutrition goes. So we have to decide that the fertilizer and the right kind of fertilizer can be a really neat thing. I have a picture of some different gardens here. When I was a kid, my mom literally sprouted stuff, and we had, you know, wheat sprouts and bean sprouts and all that kind of stuff. And if you didn't have anything else, and you just took some cans and some cups and stuff and sprouted things, and used that to supplement your other food that you're eating from the store, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would venture to say you have greatly increased the nutritional value of the food that you're consuming on a daily basis. This stuff would probably be where you get all your nutrition, and other stuff is just filler to make you feel full after you finish eating. This right here is kind of showing what I call vertical gardening, and y'all probably have heard that term, but you know, you try to get things to grow up instead of on the ground. It's a good way to increase, if you don't have a lot of dirt, to increase what you can grow is just by getting everything, cucumbers, doesn't matter, everything you can grow up. I was reading on the internet about a fellow who even grows melons. I don't know how you get a 25-pound melon to stay on the vine when it's grown straight up, but apparently somehow he's figured out a way to do that. But still, you know how much land they take up when you have your cantaloupes and your cucumbers and all, and you take up your whole yard. But you grow them vertically, it just takes up maybe a couple square feet of ground. So going vertical is a great thing to do. I don't know if any of y'all have had great successes with that. Container gardening or box gardening or square foot gardening or that kind of thing. It's another good thing to do. It's just a matter of getting the right nutrition in the soil, isn't it? This is something else that's kind of getting to be the rage, is this vertical hanging kind of gardens. You can't really see them too good, but these have little things just starting to grow out of the bottom. I don't know what they are. It could be tomatoes. But this fellow is growing stuff out of the top side of the container, and then he's got stuff starting to grow out of the bottom side of the container. Now the interesting thing is with his, he's got 2 posts and then a beam that goes at the top, and it looks like 4x4s. And if he wanted to, he could have another row up here. I mean, he could get a whole bunch of garden just on a couple square feet of ground. And look how expensive his buckets are to make up these So, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of money on buying these things. You can be cheap. This looks like a Home Depot kind of reddish orange bucket. And that's quite a tomato plant they got growing out there. But these, you know, tomatoes apparently are real happy being upside down. I don't understand it, but they do seem to be happy. And it's a great way to condense what you've got and get less space. My wife and I are experimenting with that this year. We've never done the hanging garden, but this is what we've done at our house. We've got a little greenhouse, and we've got some baskets that just grow up, and then we've got these that are growing down. So you can see our tomato plants are starting to get a little bit of size on them, and so we're just trying it out this year to see how it works. If it works good, we'll do better. Some people say that these upside down things do great. Some of them say they get better production when it's right side up. And so I'm going to try it myself and just see which way. We also have stuff in the ground. So this little greenhouse, the way we've got it, where we've got 2 aisles, you can't see the one on the back side. It's a double row, front and back, and then the stuff hanging. We can get the equivalent of a garden of maybe 50 by 40 worth of food growing in that little greenhouse right